ones and twos. And I just come here to let y'all know it's about to get real filthy in this mother.
I honestly can't stay at a place by myself after. Or you know what? Did you already spill it?
Yeah, I did. What's new?
There you go, Britt. Already starting.
I'm doing my thing. They don't have paper towel here, do they?
No, we'll get one afterwards. Just try not to
try
not to get anything wet. Yeah, just try not to spill anymore. All right, so we are on. You doing headphones?
I'm gonna do headphones.
All right. Episode 41. Welcome to In Todd We Trust. You can access the podcast on our website now, itwtpodcast.com. I don't know why I said our website. It's just me. But spoiler free.
Me too.
and Brittany's on today. Spoiler free one sentence reviews are on the website and movie ratings. So if you want to see my brief thoughts on the movie, but don't want to listen to the full podcast that does have spoilers, then check that out. Episode descriptions on there as well. Song of the Week playlist, movie soundtrack playlist, and a submission form to be a guest on the show. A lot of people don't know about the website, which, you know what, it shows that my friends don't listen to the podcast, because some of my friends, I was telling them, like, oh yeah, the website, they're like, yo, you have a website? I say it at the beginning of every podcast, so that lets me know about my real friends.
Yeah.
But you can listen to the podcast as well if you just go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and you can also watch on the YouTube channel on Thursdays, every Thursday. Today, like I just mentioned, we have Brittany on the podcast. Brittany is slurping down some champagne.
Rosé.
Rosé, not champagne. You can tell I don't drink. But she was adamant about bringing this to the podcast today. Do you want to tell us a bit about your rosé? You're really proud of it.
No, I just love it so much. It's just amazing. It literally goes down like butter. It's awesome.
Like butter, wow.
Like butter.
And then you discovered this when you lived in South Carolina, correct?
Correct. Went to a bar, bartender just handed it over, and he was like, you know what? You're going to like this. I was like, you're right. I love it.
Yeah, see? Yeah. You knew what he was talking about.
Ever since then.
You got this at Target, you said?
You can get it at Target.
So,
I got it at a liquor store by my house in St. Clair Shores, but yeah.
So for those of you who are interested in what Brittany drinks, stop by Target. What's the name of it? I don't even want to try to pronounce it. You don't know how to pronounce it either? Nope, don't even try. Actually, I kind of want to
I kind of want to try it. Flores de Prairie.
There you go. So
yeah.
go into Target and just play that clip of the podcast and tell them that's what you're looking for. All right. Do you have a song of the week?
Song of the week. Oh man, I feel like I have an artist of the week. Anything LMA related, but her song "Down," I was into it this week. I think I listened to it on repeat.
LMA Down. Mm-hmm. Nice. My song of the week, I think I'm gonna go with. I'm always conflicted. Whenever it's a good music week, I'm conflicted between the several options. But I'm gonna go with "Feel It Too" by Taney, Jesse Reyes, and Tory Lanez. So that's my jam. It's a good dancing song.
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard it yet, and yeah, so I'm gonna go with that.
You have a killer playlist though. Anytime I hear music, I'm like, okay.
You know, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, but our first time all listened to music was when you all were riding in my car, you and Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had I can't remember what playlist I had on that. I think it was just my general playlist, but now I'll try to like turn it. Whenever you all are in there now I'll try to impress. Like I'll try to create something all right, this is the Brittany and Amanda playlist, so that you all think highly of my music selection.
You really do. You have a good one. So,
thank you.
Yeah, you couldn't go wrong in my eyes.
I appreciate that. That means a lot. I pride myself on my music selection. So. All right, so we have Random Rapid Fire. So this is a series. Yeah, I didn't tell you about this. So we do a series each episode where we go through random questions that you have no prep for.
All right.
You ready? As ready as you're going to be?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm awful at tests, so we'll see how this goes.
Let's see how you do. First one. Did you have any irrational fears as a kid growing up?
Oh my gosh, yes. Belly buttons. I don't know. I swear. I have no clue why. I couldn't have mine touched. I couldn't look at other people's. Couldn't touch anyone else's. The most craziest fear.
And did you grow out of it, or are you still kind of fearful of belly buttons?
I can never get my belly button pierced, but I'm a lot better with it than I was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Say button.
Button?
The way the emphasis on ton. That's amazing.
I say correct.
Oh man, did you ever sleep with the light on?
Yes. It was after a scary movie.
Ah, yep, makes sense.
I think it was when we first started the paranormal.
That
one
wave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was like in high school.
Yeah. Yep, it got me. I'm telling you. But you know what? It prepared me because now I'm obsessed with scary movies. So,
Really?
Yeah.
So that's what made you a scary movie fan.
I think so because
Really?
I love that feeling. So now I like crave it.
Oh.
So if a movie is scary and it doesn't give me that, I'm like.
Are you like
it's
an
a bad
adrenaline
movie.
junkie as well? Like, do you like skydiving and all
You
that
know
stuff?
what's so weird is no. I don't like
got
roller
it.
coasters. I don't like heights.
So
but
it's
like
just the scary movie.
Yeah.
The jumping out of your skin thing.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Mhm.
I'm seeing. I like. I'm not a adrenaline junkie or thrill seeker by any means. Like jumping out of a plane, absolutely. There's nothing. I mean, you couldn't pay me to do that.
Yeah.
But I do like roller coasters. I grew to like roller coasters.
Oh.
I didn't as a kid. When I probably got to like junior high school is when I really started liking them and doing rides like that. So
Yeah.
I do like that. Scary movies, not for me. I'll talk a little bit more about it. I've talked about it before when I reviewed a scary movie on here. But
What movie was it?
what movie did I do? The Prodigy.
Mm.
Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
It was alright.
Yeah.
It wasn't amazing. But yeah. On to the next question. What's the scariest nightmare you've ever had?
So I don't know if you've ever seen like Haunting Connecticut or anything like that. I know you don't
I
like
have
scary
not.
movies, but
I've heard of it.
there was a show on called A Haunting,
Okay.
and there was a part of it where the guy had like black eyes and like honestly it scared me to my core, and this was even like when I was younger watching this.
Okay.
And ever since then, like if I have a terrible dream, it's always going back to that, which is so creepy.
Really?
Yeah.
That is actually really scary.
Yeah, it's like
That freaked me
terrifying.
out.
Yeah, I don't know if it just like scared me to my core that's like all I can when it's
Oh my goodness.
scary.
When did you see it? When was the last time you saw this?
It was like probably actually maybe a few months ago that I had a dream and that was in there, and I was like, oh, am I like going back in time?
Yeah,
What
right.
is happening? Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, that would freak me out a bit.
Yeah.
Do you like clowns?
I don't. Yeah.
You don't mind them?
No.
Yeah, I've never been like freaked out by clowns, but I just don't understand. Like they do look creepy. I don't know if it's because of the way movies have portrayed them, or so you hear so often how people are scared of clowns. But I just don't necessarily like them.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily fearful when I see a clown, but it's
Right.
kind of like, oh, you kind of, I don't know, it's kind of creepy.
You're like,
I don't know.
just stay away. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I could
keep my
see that.
distance.
I could see that because they have a mask on. You know, you don't quite know what's underneath that.
That is true. Yeah,
Always.
it's a lot of makeup. It's just, I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know. If you went missing, how long before your family and friends would realize it?
Well, I have to say, my mom, it's so funny. She'll notice when I delete my Instagram or anything, because not that I post a lot on it,
Yeah.
but like I'll post on my stories quite frequently, and she'll
Yeah.
be like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "Why did you delete your Insta?" So my mom would notice instantly if I wasn't on Instagram. She would know. Like she's like, "What's going
The
on?"
world we live in, where it's like,
I
hey, you haven't
know,
posted an
it's so
Instagram
bad.
story, and it's like,
It's so
oh my
bad.
god, and APB is out on you. That's crazy. That's really crazy. Would you try to save your best friend from Pennywise, or would you let them die? Would you put yourself?
Oh,
in that
I'd
harm
save
first?
them for sure.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah.
I would not. I'll let my friends know now if you're ever in that type of danger, and I'd have to go into that creepy house to save you. No, you're gone. That's just
Yeah.
like, dang. Like I wouldn't even. I'd just be like, oh dang, like lost that one. On to the next one. Let me go try to find some new friends.
It's great while it lasted.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, you'll have an awesome memorial. But I'm definitely not going to save you. Go to slushy flavor.
Oh wow. Just classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm classic.
Which one?
Coke.
Coke. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
classic. Gotta
All
keep
right.
it. Yeah.
That's a good one. If you had to rewatch the same movie for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh man. Oh, I have so many favorites.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, you really you got me on that one. I guess the same movie I could probably deal with. I don't think anyone. Yeah, I don't know if anyone even knows of it. It's called Summer Breakdown, and it's like or Spring Breakdown. Sorry, Spring Breakdown. It's this.
I've not heard of that.
Yeah, I mean it has comedians in it that are well known. So like oh gosh, what is her name? Maybe Amy Poehler, is that her name? Blonde hair.
That is her name.
Yeah, she's in there. There's a couple other people who are in there, but it's just like such a dumb movie. But I could watch it on repeat.
I kind of want to watch it now.
Yeah.
I like Amy Poehler.
Yeah.
I'm an Amy Poehler fan. So.
Yeah, it's funny. It's
Okay.
just it's like it's stupid, but it's just you could watch it and you could be like, wow, this is so dumb, but you laugh because it's funny.
Did you watch? Do you watch Parks and Rec, or did you watch Parks and Rec?
No, shit though.
That's
Everyone
pretty
always tells me that.
It's a good show. I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, it's probably one of my favorites.
Similar to The Office, right?
Similar in the style that's filmed.
Okay.
And in that, so like that mockumentary style, it's similar in that, but it's pretty different. It's funny in its own right.
Okay.
Like it has its own brand of comedy, I feel like.
I'm into it.
So yeah, I'd say check it out. It's on Netflix. Got nothing to do. Maybe start binging it. First season's okay. It gets better second season. So.
Got it. So try to suffer through the first.
Yeah, and it's not that the first is bad, but it takes some time to really get into its groove. So.
Okay. Got it.
But yeah, before we go into the movie, want to bring up, because we were talking about it the other day, guys who are quote unquote photographers.
Oh.
I started thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about it
Oh,
over the weekend.
My poor Lyft driver. Okay.
Oh man, be on the lookout. This is more of just like a warning. Be on the lookout of those guys, and I don't know if any warnings needed because I feel like you should know at this point. But of the guys who said they're photographers, the guys that say that they're photographers, but they're really just creepy guys with cameras.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes good cameras, sometimes not even good cameras.
He actually asked me out on a date.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Of course he did. That's not shocking. That is a typical creepy guy with a camera move.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did he ask you on a date while you were in the car? Or did you try to follow up after
Oh
that?
no, it was like an Instagram.
Oh,
It was
he
like a
found you on
DM.
IG.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Well, no, he's slick. Okay.
Okay.
So he's like, oh well, I'm a photographer full time, but like Lyft is what I do part time. So I'm like, oh okay, like do you have something that I can like look at? He's like, oh yeah, look at my Instagram. So I looked up his Instagram. So he followed me and I followed him back just because you had to like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're there in the moment.
Yeah.
You have to like follow back right there.
Yeah, and I was right here downtown, and he was just driving us back to my house, and
See, and that's always a very creepy move
Yeah.
when someone asks you on a date and they're your Lyft driver or Uber driver, because now they know where you live.
Oh gosh.
So they know where you live, right? And I mean, they don't have a ton of information on you, but that's enough. Like knowing where I live is enough information. And again, with the photography thing, there's a few things to check. So, I mean, we were just going through his Instagram, and it's, first of all, if he follows more people than follows him, not a good sign.
Not a good ratio.
Not a good ratio.
No.
If you're an actual photographer, actual business entity, you don't look legit. Also, if 95% of the pictures are honestly not good pictures, but just girls in lingerie, you're probably not a legit photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. They weren't even like tasteful pics. It was just like it was like almost like the direction he gave was just, hey, like strip down like to whatever you feel comfortable, and then I'm gonna shoot some pics. Like that's it.
Do you know how he slid into like asking me to do a shoot though?
I would love to hear.
So
I would love to hear.
Initially we we changed the route so it would stop at McDonald's first because it was after and I'm not proud of saying I stopped there, but I did. And the girl was like, we're
McDonald's
only
healthy.
we're only serving fries and a drink. Okay, I'm like.
That's what they said at McDonald's?
Yeah.
I hate McDonald's. I hate McDonald's so much. So they told you that that's all they're serving
That's all they're serving at that time. Okay, it wasn't even like it was super late. It was probably like 1:30, right?
Yes.
So she tells us that, and we're like, okay, that's like not gonna do. I need like...
It's not gonna do.
I need like a Big Mac. Like I need food, okay? Yeah. And so he's like, you know what? He's like, I'll be nice. I'll drive you guys to a different McDonald's and not charge you for it. So he drives us to this McDonald's, doesn't charge us for it, but he goes, now you have to let me shoot you. And I'm like...
What?
I mean, he never got anything in writing. We didn't handshake. We didn't pinky promise. Nothing. So I feel like I didn't have to at this point. So he was just nice and drove us. I'm going to take advantage of that.
You're right.
Right? So, I mean...
If you offer... Yeah, what?
Yeah. Look at how this is creeping. I just can't stay away.
No, yeah, I was about to say, you're about to spill that like right on me. I feel like we should get a napkin of some sort.
I know.
It's all good.
Should I use my sleeve?
No, you don't have to do that. But maybe. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's... I feel like there's some things that, and I apologize for my gender, for guys that are just creepy like that. Like when that comes out of your mouth, how do you not hear that and say, "Ooh, that sounds creepy"? Like, how did he not say like, "Hey, now that I drove you to McDonald's, you have to let me shoot you"? It's 1:30 in the morning. Like it's already all the timing, all the facts around it just seem weird. Like,
yeah, I guess as my gender, you hear things at some points where it's like nothing shocks you anymore.
I guess girls. Yeah, unfortunately, you have to deal with a lot. Yeah, so like that probably wasn't even the worst of it.
Oh yeah. Like I got so much worse maybe throughout the night, so this wasn't even bad.
Yeah,
you know, it was like okay, whatever. You're like gonna drive me home anyways. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever.
You had to let me shoot you. That just sounds so weird.
It was creepy, yeah.
Another thing I wanted to bring up before we got into the movie is, did you see the news about Netflix trialing weekly releases? So instead of just dropping all the episodes at once for shows, doing like for their original shows at least, doing weekly releases like normal cable. Did you see anything about that?
Well, I actually had already experienced it because I'm a huge fan of The Handmaid's Tale. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I've already kind of experienced that whole, like, I know it's on Netflix, but, like, that whole release episode thing, and, like, honestly, I'm okay with it, because I don't have cable, I have Hulu, Netflix, like, everything like that, so, to me, I'm good with it, like, keeps me interested, keeps me watching. It's
interesting, because, you know, Netflix, that's kind of like their whole shtick, is that they drop it and you binge.
Yeah.
Likewise, I do have Hulu and Netflix. And I'm fine again, like with how they do Handmaid's Tale or any of their other original shows, the weekly release. But for Netflix, that would be kind of a weird space to go into, because then like what differentiates you between you and like Hulu?
Right.
So I don't know. It'll be cool. I know obviously Hulu's is more of like they release anyway weekly, because they have shows that you can watch 24 hours after. I think it's actually less than that. It might be like 12 hours after it releases airtime. So like obviously the original shows they do a week out. But for shows like that are currently like Scandal or something like that, like when that was on, it like let's say Scandal came on like Thursday nights, right? It did come out on Thursday nights. If it came out on Thursday at like 9 p.m. at night, like the next day on Hulu by like 9 a.m. in the morning, you could watch it. And then obviously Netflix is, after it's done airing for that season, about a month later after it's done, if Scandal's season finale is in May, in June, it would come on Netflix.
Right.
So it's just a different type of release.
Okay.
So it's kind of necessary to have both, but yeah. So I'm interested to see what they do there. I honestly I prefer that they just drop it all at once.
Okay. You're like a binger.
Yeah, I like that aspect of it for Netflix, right? Because then it's like I said, it just becomes Hulu at that point.
Right.
So we'll see what they do there, but my vote is for them. If you're listening, anyone from Netflix, is to keep the structure that you have in place.
Not implement the new one.
Yeah, we don't want that new one.
PSA. Don't do it.
Yeah. Don't do it. I'm not going to say you're going to lose a loyal customer, because I'll probably still invest and buy Netflix. But is it dripping?
No, it might though.
Almost, yeah.
I spilled the wine. I feel bad.
Yeah, so, yeah.
I had a glass. Like, not even.
Yeah, Britt was super adamant about bringing the wine on, and was like, are we allowed to have it here? I said, yeah, you just have to be careful. And here we are. As soon as
super careful.
As soon as the episode starts. Actually, in the intro, if you heard, she popped the bottle, and then right after that, proceeded to spill it on the table. So we'll see how this goes. Movie description. So reviewing it, chapter 2. 27 years after their first encounter with the terrifying Pennywise. Wow, I cannot talk. The Losers Club has grown up and moved away until a devastating phone call brings them back. So this released September 6th. Notable cast: we have Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, and Bill Hader in this. So huge. They brought out the big guns for this one. I don't know. Maybe one of them is an A-lister, and James McAvoy, but they're all big names. They're all big names.
Yeah.
Director Andy Muschietti, I think I'm saying that correctly. So he did the original remake of It 2 years ago, and then also Mama. I have not seen that, hadn't heard of it until I looked up his name on IMDb. And then he's also slated as the director for the upcoming The Flash movie, and then they're doing Attack on Titans movie. It's an anime show, but he is, I guess, doing the movie for it. Writer Gary Doberman, who also did the Annabelle series and The Nun that came out recently. Did you see The Nun?
Oh, those movies are my favorite.
Really?
I swear.
I can never
huge
watch.
movie buff, huge scary movie buff.
Yeah.
We have every single Annabelle, Conjuring, The Nun, obsessed.
I can't do it.
Obsessed.
Can't do it. Well, you're a Gary gal then, because he did that.
A Gary gal.
You should get a shirt, Gary Gal.
Oh my gosh,
and then on the back have the movies he's done. Oh. Stephen King, obviously the writer, or based on his novel. he's done a ton of things, but most notably Pet Sematary, Children of the Corn, Shawshank Redemption, Carrie, and The Shining, and Stand By Me. Again, credited with a lot of stuff, so I'm only naming a few. It probably being near the top of that list as far as like.
Did you see Pet Sematary?
I have not.
Oh yeah, you're not a scary.
No, if I only go like this one. Reason I'm reviewing it in the first place is just because it's such a big film. Like I knew it was going to be a really big deal. It's hard to even get a ticket for it. But yeah, if I can stay away from the scary movies, I do.
Oh well,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's any consolation, wait, we're not talking about it, are we?
Yeah.
I'll keep it low key.
What are we not talking about? No,
Well, the Pet Sematary movie, because I know that one had come out like.
Oh yeah, it came out.
Before.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Came out a little before. But,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
It was.
Did you like it?
It wasn't bad.
Was it
I mean, like, because I love scary movies, so
Yeah.
I'm just concerned. So I mean, whether it's like good or not.
Yeah, you have to
But
see it.
it wasn't bad.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like the.
It wasn't the
It
best.
wasn't The Nun. It wasn't The Conjuring, but it was.
The Conjuring was a good movie.
Yeah.
I have said that before on here that I did like The Conjuring, even though I was super scared of it. You know, I was scared.
Look at he's like struggling.
Super
right now.
scared. I was so scared. But it was a good movie. Like it was good writing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the movie was 2 hours and 49 minutes. It was, which is crazy.
Yeah.
The first one was long too. The first one was 2:15, and this one was 2:49. So
Yeah.
ridiculous. Going into the movie, I thought the first one was stupid. So, so I wanted to see if this was any different.
Yeah.
I was curious. Did you like the first one?
It was okay.
It was okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think I like the second one better.
Agreed.
I think they did a better job the second time around.
Yeah.
For sure. I wouldn't say it wasn't like in my top maybe 10, 15, but
Yeah.
not in my top 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. So like I mentioned, I'm not particularly a scary movie guy. I'm admittedly scared of movies that deal with like possession or spirits. Like those get me. Again, like I said, The Conjuring. However, movies that just have like monsters, like this one, or like mass killings, like Freddy Krueger type of deal, or like Jason. I'm not necessarily scared of those.
Okay.
More than it just being like bad writing most of the time. So a lot of times those movies are like Scream. Like those are just like not well written. So it's more of that than anything where you're just like a whole bunch of moments where you're like, that doesn't make sense.
But
Like,
I have to say though, those movies where they have like the characters that are almost like real life people that are there,
yeah,
almost scare me sometimes more than things that like It, where it's like a clown that's
it's
possessed
unrealistic.
in some way type
Yeah.
of thing. Like that stuff scares me more because it can like legitimately happen.
Yeah,
you know,
I guess
these types of
true.
people
Yeah.
exist in this world.
Yeah.
Like that scares me.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah, so it's like for being like a scary movie person, it's like I guess like the possession ones, I'm like whatever, like I mean, how often do you really hear that actually happening?
And I don't know, Brett. I only have to hear it happening once. Like for me, I have to hear it once that it happened, and then I'm out. But yeah. So hearing a couple of them, it's like no, it's too close to home. It's too close to home. The first one got a lot of really great reception.
Really?
Which was crazy to me is that it was super popular when it came out. It was just like everyone talking about how crazy good it was, how scary it was, and I'm like, really, like who is paying these people to give good reviews for this movie? I didn't. Like I said, I didn't necessarily like the first one. This one was a lot better, I thought.
Yeah.
When I saw that James McAvoy and Bill Hader were in this one, I thought that maybe, that would add to it.
Yeah.
So that had me a little bit more excited to see this one. But yeah, going into it, when I saw the 2:49 runtime and the fact that, again, that I wasn't a huge fan of the first, I was just like kind of dreading going to see it. But it wasn't as bad as I was expecting, I will say.
No, and you know what? I'm actually really impressed with the how they were able to find characters now 27 years later that look so similar to the characters that were 27 years before.
Yeah.
You know, like I felt like that was awesome. Like they did a
minus
good
Ben.
job.
Minus
Yeah.
Ben.
Poor Ben.
Ben.
But awesome Ben.
Awesome Ben. Ben came up.
Ben was
He had a glow up this one.
Oh yeah.
Man, I'm like,
I love Ben.
Yeah, I did too. I did like Ben.
Ben was awesome.
The story, so this opening scene, right? It was really interesting.
Yeah.
You have a lot of movies, and I've mentioned this before, and I actually counted up like how many movies, not for this episode, but in a prior episode, how many movies deal with like trying to touch on like actual like real life or social issues.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously this one, it deals with a bunch of bullies bullying this guy or two guys who are a homosexual couple, and it kind of it was trying to like make a statement of the current like climate that we're in. But it was so just separate from the movie. Like, it was just kind of a random throw in.
Yeah.
And I feel like my complaint with movies that are trying to be inclusive or are inclusive of different groups, or movies that are trying to speak on like social issues or like the current climate, right, is do it in like a tasteful and well written way. Like, don't just throw it in.
Mm-hmm. And
I feel like some movies just throw it in, and I'm like, no, take time with it to like make it meaningful and like creatively add it to the plot.
Yeah.
Instead of just kind of throwing it in randomly. So that was interesting that they opened it with that, and it kind of came full circle, obviously, with finding out that Richie was gay and didn't want to release or tell the group that he obviously had this crush on Eddie, or was basically in love with Eddie throughout all their childhood and then growing up. So it kind of came full circle with that. And at the end, obviously, when they go into like they have that voiceover that's like, "Be proud, we're losers, be proud of who you are," which again just didn't add up to the scary movie. It just didn't. It's like, what? Like,
it is. It's very. It could be confusing, I guess. You're like, wait.
What?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. But I mean, I can definitely appreciate that they wanted to include it too.
Right. Exactly.
Because it is something that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's an important issue.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I wish that they took, like, you have 2 hours and 49 minutes.
Yep.
If you're gonna touch on that, then like take time to actually develop it.
Really make it something.
Exactly.
Right.
Don't just throw it in like, oh, we're gonna throw it in here
Right.
at the end. Like, this last 30 seconds, we're gonna say something about it.
Yeah.
Like, no, actually, like, if you want to make a statement, then make a statement.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
that's my thought about it. I like how they broke the movie up into different parts. Like how they followed each character.
Yes.
And kind of went into like delve into like their story, like kind of what happened in
When
these
you
last
didn't
27
see those,
years.
yeah.
Some of these parts. So I kind of like that. That added to it. Again, the story development in this one was a lot deeper and richer than the first one, I thought. It was really dramatic at times, the storyline, where I was like, come on, like, it just got...
But it really made me, like, invest into each person versus, like, when you kind of just are watching a movie, like, you, like, learn a little bit more about the character.
Yeah.
So it really does invest a little bit more time in caring into each person.
Yeah, absolutely. The first one, I didn't even really remember their names from the first one.
Yeah.
And this one now, like, I like remember, like, oh, Ben, like Eddie, Richie, because they spent so much time on each person.
Yeah.
And like what they were going through, or like what their deepest fears were and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So instead of them just being like this huge conglomerate from the first one, they got grouped together. Something that was like, there's a ton of things that are unrealistic. One of the things though is, what are the chances of 5 people from Derry, Maine, all growing up to lead like super successful lives? I'm like, how did you all end up like normal? Like, they're all except for Mike, which I was mad. Like, Mike just was like a bum who like stayed, like, it was like so stereotypical. Like, his like parents were crackheads, and they burned in a fire, and then he stays he's living in a library. I'm just like, what are we doing here? The aspect of them forgetting their memories was interesting.
Yeah, the further they got away and the further they were gone, or like the distance. Yeah, it really did like affect their memory as far as remembering that type of stuff. Yeah,
I thought that was really I thought that was a creative thing that they put in there. Again, there's a lot of things that are going to be like unrealistic. Right. And I mean, any movie that's like a fantasy or fiction movie or horror, there's a monster, like, you can't pinpoint and be like, that's unrealistic. Like, all of it is. But I do like that they added that point, because when you're watching the previews, obviously my first thought is, why would you go back? Why in the world would you go back to that town if this thing is there?
And it happened to you personally.
Yes. Yeah, you like almost got killed. Why would you ever go back to this town? And now that explains it. Oh, because you couldn't remember why you left. So that's how you got back, and they got back and they're like, oh shoot, why did we come back here? Yeah. So that kind of added a piece in there that made it more realistic for why they'd go back.
And why they were so angry that he brought them back.
Yeah.
They're like, whoa, we had no idea that like, we couldn't remember that this happened. Right. And it did happen. And now we're mad at you for like bringing us back here when we forgot. But he was completely okay, like, obviously, because he knew he could never forget because he never left. Right. Yeah, so for him, he was like, you know what? We said this. Like, this is what's going on. Like, they made a commitment, man.
They made a commitment. I'm like, yo, we're not gonna go back from like a blood oath that we made when we were like 12.
Which
like,
I was in the medical field at one point. And them cutting the hand in that scene,
it was so
deep. Actually bothered me.
Yeah.
It actually like affected me.
Yeah.
Or I was like, ooh, that's kind of gross.
It was deep. It was like a deep cut. I was like, yo, they're gassed.
Showed like it, like
Yeah, it was a lot.
You don't need to get graphic, but
yeah, it was
totally.
it was a graphic scene. I was like, yo, you can just kind of. I thought they were just gonna do like kind of like people who are like diabetics, like a little pinch on the finger, like
or like a little cut, like how they usually show. But no, they like
they gash his hand. I'm like, that's crazy. It was sometimes hard to differentiate between what was real and what was an illusion.
Okay.
Sometimes for me during the movie, obviously there's parts where they're like, this isn't real, like don't give in. But I'm like, there's also parts where like the zombies like driving around the bully guy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what's real? Like, what can people see? What can people not see?
Which that
like,
totally threw me off.
That was really weird. That was a weird like addition. Again, when you make a movie 2 hours and 50 minutes, there's gonna be stuff where you're like, that could have got cut.
Yeah.
Like the bully.
That could have gotten cut.
The bully, I don't know if that was necessary.
Right.
Like we could have seen him in an insane asylum, and then like that could have been. We didn't even really have to revisit him.
Yeah.
Honestly,
But then he did really like prove a point to Eddie that like, when he got the thing stabbed in his face or whatever, he was really being brave at that point.
Yeah.
So I really feel like it it almost needed to happen where he did come back and like could prove a point for that
Eddie,
character.
Yeah.
Because it really think about when he's down there and he's dying and they're like, you know what, like you really did prove yourself.
Yeah.
And he's so nervous and scared because he's like, I'm never gonna save my friends.
Right, and he kind of had to sacrifice himself at the end there. So like he probably wouldn't have done that if they wouldn't have like pumped him up and been like, hey, look, you actually are capable.
Like, you did something really badass.
Yeah, that is true. And I guess it was leading up to that, even when he was in the house and he was, like, super scared.
Yeah.
And again...
they're like, did you... Like, I could never, like, go on with my day.
Yeah, go after getting stabbed in the face. Go on with my day.
I mean, I guess it was probably, like, something so small compared to what they were dealing with, but still.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah. So, and that was obviously, like, heartbreaking at the end.
Yeah. Man.
There was a lot more death in this one.
Yeah.
The first one didn't have like a lot of people didn't really die in the first one. Like you gotta think the only person who died was the boy at the beginning, right? Yeah. His little brother. I don't think none of them died.
No.
No one died.
Right.
Like we didn't even see it.
Well,
who else did it kill in the first one? I don't even think there was a death toll other than that first one in the first scene. So I thought that there was a lot more death in this one, which I did appreciate because I'm like, let's actually make this scary.
Make this a thing,
if he's gonna be this, if he's gonna be like a really scary like entity, he's gotta take some people out. Like the scene where he took the most heartbreaking scene is when the girl under the bleachers he killed.
When she had a little birthmark on her face, and she's like, everyone makes fun of me. It honestly was
that broke my heart.
Yeah. But that part, and I don't get scared. I don't get jumpy. This movie did such a good job of keeping it not only like scary in some aspects, but suspenseful. Like, keep me on my toes. Like, I was not ready for that part at all. I mean, I knew something was going to happen, but I did not know he was going to like eat her at that point.
No, and that's the thing is that I think that's where they kind of like threw us for a misdirection in the first one when no one died.
Right.
In this one, you're kind of like, is he going to get him or is he not going to get him?
Yeah.
In the first one, we kind of knew, like, no one was ever really going to get because it was the main characters. And it's like, oh, shoot, like, this one, boom, like, off rip, you have the guy commit suicide. You have him kill the girl in the bleachers. Obviously, Eddie dies. He kills the boy on the skateboard.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Oh,
in
my
the
gosh,
House of
that
Mirrors.
little boy.
That was
he
crazy.
was so cute, too.
Yeah, he was so scary. That sucked. Like, I mean, he was taking some people out in this one. He wasn't messing around. I feel like, obviously the beginning, the opening scene, took the guy out, grown man out. And I know he usually just kills the kids, but he took the grown man out. So,
but I feel like they really set the tone for it because honestly, like, you hear, okay, so there's this thing that comes every 27 years that kills these people or these kids or whatever, and like you don't really like. I mean, it's not that it's like whatever, but it really doesn't like. You don't feel something towards it. You know what I mean? Like, you just hear it. When you just hear things, you're like, okay, whatever. But, like, if you can actually witness it, experience it, then you're like, whoa, like, this thing is actually a big deal.
Right.
So it really did, like, set the tone for it. Like, okay, like, this is actually something serious that's going on in this town, you know? And then, I mean, I got invested for sure.
That was a crazy opening scene. And, that was also what really, really pissed me off about the opening scene. Like, why let the bullies win? Like, they never circle. I want them to circle back and, like, those guys who beat them up. Yeah. Circle back and get those guys killed. Like, I want it to get those guys. Why did it get the victim?
The victim, yeah.
That was such BS. So I thought that I was really pissed about that. Like, don't kill the guy who is the good guy in this. You know, that pissed me off. Also, the delay to run is so crazy in this movie. Like, they'll see danger and they'll just like freak out and I'm like, run, move. Like when they're in the restaurant and they're all just like backing away from the table, leave the restaurant, run out of the restaurant. What are you doing?
But then it would kill the whole vibe of the movie. Like the whole point of it is like, like, think about if we're, like, right now we're sitting in this room and something spooky happened.
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
You'd probably be frozen. That is true.
Right. Like, you, in that initial moment, you're kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
What just happened? You know?
That is true. That is true.
I guess I would be that person who would investigate and probably die.
Oh, yeah, I definitely would be that person. Yeah. No,
Dude, Todd would be out. I'd be sitting in here by myself with his headphones on.
I would leave you so fast. I would leave you so quick. Yeah, no, I don't have to investigate anything. If anything's scary, like, I don't know, it might have not been anything, but I'm not going to take that chance. I'm out. Yeah. Self-preservation, man. First number one rule.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just,
I'm sprinting.
Yeah.
You would still be wondering what it is, and you'd see me just, like, running outside this window.
I watch you run past, and you're like, bye, Todd.
Yeah.
I'm just going to wait and see what's behind these curtains.
Yeah, forget it. Yeah, it's just Brittany and Brittany. In Brittany we trust. But, man, yeah, no, I would be petrified. The characters. Who's your favorite character?
Oh, gosh. Oh, I love that Ben made a comeback.
Ben did make a comeback.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of an unrealistic comeback. Right. He had the greatest glow up probably of any character in any movie of all time. What I want to know is how he became both fit and a different ethnicity. Like Ben was like a fat, chubby white boy, and in this one, I mean, he looks like Enrique Iglesias. I'm like,
he's very exotic for sure.
Yeah, I'm like, how did you? And I looked at the actual actors from New Zealand. So I'm just like, what? Like they just picked like a really like they should have picked like a John Cena or something like that. That'd have been more like on brand. Like he was all pale and like he's all tan as an adult and all this stuff. But I did like how that was cool to have.
It just made him like almost a little rough around the edges. You know what I mean? Like he was like initially very like. It's just very like, you know, cookie cutter American, and then he went to be this like rugged like architecture. Yeah, like really like I don't know.
House.
Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say my favorite. I think maybe I'm just like a fan of her as a, you know, in general, but like I loved like Beverly growing up, and like because she had such a powerful story in the beginning with her dad and everything that I think I was invested for sure. Where I'm like, you know what, you find so many times that these people don't grow out of like whatever happened in their past. Yeah. She's the kind of person who just lets it consume her when she should have let things go and she didn't. Yeah. So, like, you know, for example, like she thought that, you know, that letter was from, you know, somebody else, and she didn't really like investigate things too much, and like I don't know. I just feel like she should have let things go and didn't, and then, you know, she really did, like, in the end, like, you know what, I need to do better for myself. Yeah. And I can appreciate that. Yeah, and I think, again, it's an ongoing trend with movies having a strong female lead and, you know, a female taking charge and fighting back. So those are always good. Like in this one, obviously, like you see that, to an extent, she did allow her past to inform her future, because she ends up marrying a guy who's abusive, who's just like her dad.
Who's just like her dad.
Yep.
And then, you know, I don't know if they did this intentionally, but part of that might just so like instinctually that might be what, like, she subconsciously was attracted to that, because she couldn't even really remember. She couldn't remember that she killed her dad. She couldn't remember the events of her childhood, really. Right. So which when she you remember, like, at the, like, in the part of the where they were like, well, she actually saw, like, when she saw the lights and things like that, like, she actually, like, so she could remember a lot more of what happened compared to everybody else. Yeah. So, I mean, in some way, well, I guess. I don't know. It was interesting. Yeah. How that aspect, too, is really interesting, with, like, her being able to see the future a bit. Yeah, because of what happened to her. Yeah. So it's almost like, as her childhood, like, she did kind of remember somewhat, you know, like, that it wasn't right, but it's just what she was used to, almost. Yeah. So I love that she got him, though. Yeah. Because at first I'm like, whoa, this is getting real fast. Like, he pulled the belt out. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? And then, but then she cracked him over the head. So it was like, again, very similar to the first movie when she, you know, hit her dad over the head. But yeah, that was crazy. Bill, his stuttering. It's crazy how stuttering came back when he went to Derry. Yeah. So that was funny. Scene with him in the street yelling at the kid, like trying to tell him like to be safe. Don't go by that. Yeah. That was hilarious. I honestly love that actor though. Like the best. Yeah. James McAvoy. Oh, I love him. Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah. He's always. He was good in Split. He he's a character or an actor that I. He's great. Yeah. I mean, in Split he played like 9 different roles. So different personalities. So yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
I remember going to see Split too, and I was like, "This is crazy."
Yeah. It's one of those movies where it's like that stuff can actually. I mean, maybe not the whole part where he turns into something, but like him, like people actually
people actually suffer from that. Yeah.
It's like that stuff's scary.
Yeah,
for sure.
People have schizophrenia or multiple personality disorder.
Yeah.
That's the actual thing.
They take people, put them in like rooms and random zoos and things.
Yeah, zoos. Wow.
But for real though, that stuff is like.
Absolutely, I didn't think the skateboard kid was gonna die. Like I thought because he was such a focal point there between him and Bill, I was like, oh, there's no way they're gonna let this kid die. And then I was like, oh shoot, no, he's out of there. He got him.
Yeah, they really like.
They weren't messing around in this movie. Like I said, the death toll went up in this movie. You cannot pay me to go into a House of Mirrors though. Now, like I would not go into a House of Mirrors now.
Like how he was running into every single one of them. That's me walking
into
one of them. I'm running into every single thing. I'm hitting my head.
I could see that. I can 100% see you run into to the mirrors. You wouldn't make it out of the first. It'd be like first 5 steps. Like
I'd be like, can I just skip this part? Can I go around? Is there like a back way?
100% see that. What was I about to ask you about?
I'm sorry.
It made me lose. Oh, have you seen Us? The movie Us? Scary movie?
I have not. I don't think so.
You know what I'm talking about?
It's the one that's by the same guy who did
Get Out.
Get Out, yeah. Yes. I didn't see it yet, no.
Okay, because it's a scene in there with the House of Mirrors that made me think. I was like, there's no way I'm going to House of Mirrors now. Like, that already was creepy, but now I'm like, just never doing it.
Yeah.
Richie, I think this is some of Bill Hader's best work, honestly. Like, he's all, like, I've always thought he was, like, pretty funny, even back in his SNL days, but this was, like, he did some great acting. Well, I guess some of his best work. His best work, probably acting-wise, is probably, what is the name of that show on HBO? He has a show on HBO. I can't think of it right now. I'm gonna look it up actually. Or we're sitting here.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Because I'm curious.
HBO. Barry. I was blanking. But Barry. He does a great job in that show as well. But he was super funny. I thought that was a huge redeeming quality of this movie. Is like a lot of the comedy between him and Eddie was so funny.
Oh.
Like the jokes about his mom and like it's just so funny.
It's like I went with my boyfriend to go see the movie and it did nothing. We just cracked up. I feel like every time he'd talk and then when it got serious, we're like, whoa, that was like a serious part. But like we were like, that is hilarious. He was good in that.
He was hilarious,
the whole part of that. Yeah.
So Bill Hader was hilarious in this. And then I feel like they made like him or even when like Pennywise was holding over his head that he was gay and like you're hiding something, like they were making that a much bigger deal than it had. Like it's 2019, like that's not really something you can hold over someone's head,
right?
It's such a thing that's embraced now. So I'm like, I feel like that wouldn't have been something that he would have been like so fearful. Like I mean, some of these people are like fearful of like dying, and it's like he's like fearful, so it's just crazy how fearful he was of that secret.
But I guess like if you think in the terms of like if you were putting yourself in the movie and in the town being so small, and then branching out and not living there anymore, but still having those types of like qualities that like you're from a small town, like I could see how it would imprint on somebody that you're like, what, I can't expose myself.
Town, right? It's such a small town. You saw and I guess going back to their opening scene, like you saw what they did to that couple, and they were just minding their own business at a fair. So and they basically, they almost killed him. I mean, obviously Pennywise did the job and killed him, but I mean they threw him off, left him to drown. Yeah, really. So. I guess that's a good point. Yeah. It's
like a small town, and it's like if you just are always going to have those in you, just because you're from that town, like really, there's nothing you can. You are who you are at that point. So for him, it's like, I can't expose this. Like everyone knows me in this town. Everyone knows who I am. Like I just can't.
And he kind of got some fame too, because it seemed like he was a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
So that is a good point. So again, I think it just sheds light on that issue, right? So like, if you are homosexual and just like the things that you might have to go through, if you're nervous to, if you're not ready yet to expose that part of you, or share that part of you with your friends or family members. So that the crazy thing is that was his biggest fear, right? So it's just like, dang, like to think that, man, that was his biggest fear compared to like whether it be like Beverly being her father,
and maybe it's not even necessarily that's his fear, but people judging him on. I mean, you saw how nervous he was before going on stage for this comedy thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like maybe it was more of the fact that like people like, judging him that was like a huge thing for him.
Yeah. So that probably was a large part of it, but that was crazy. Mike was wild in this movie, man. Mike was, first of all, he was living in a library attic. He was like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, basically. Like, he was living in this attic.
I was into it though, honestly.
Yeah, I was like, why did he stay?
Yeah.
Why did you stay in Derry?
Yeah.
One, why did you stay in Derry? Who was allowing you to stay at the library in the attic? It's a public library. Like, how do you own the library? Like, probably
do you
not.
work at the library?
Yeah, I was saying, does it seem like he has a job? Is the library never open? Because you all are just chilling at the library. Yeah. He's out here taking drugs with Native Americans.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was a crazy
that
twist in the
threw
movie.
Me like way left or right.
Yeah, somewhere.
I was like,
threw me somewhere.
What?
Oh my gosh! He's like, then like we find out that it was an alien from outer space or something. I'm like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, that's when it just started getting out of control, and I was like, all right.
They lost me at that point where I was like, wait, they took me back almost.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought this was something like, like possession related, I guess, or something like demon related, not necessarily like aliens.
And then they never tied it, or at least I didn't catch it. So correct me if I'm wrong. But him being an alien versus him also being at this this like explosion that happened like at a fair or festival. So which one is it? Like, did he come from that, or was he an alien? Like, which, like, because they obviously hinted to that in the first one,
right?
When Ben was in the library reading about it,
right?
And then they bring it back up a bit here when Beverly goes back to her old house, and the old lady's like, "Oh, that was my father,"
right? And
then you see pictures of him. So they never brought that. It just was like
I don't think it ever was. But I don't know how much I believe that he was actually a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's really easy for entities, aliens, whatever, to like manipulate things to make it seem like it was a real thing, but maybe it actually wasn't.
Do that. Aliens do that all the time.
I mean, I just think like, what? You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? Though, like, how easy is it to manipulate? Where it's like maybe it wasn't actually a real, I guess, thing.
Yeah.
You know, as much as they invested into that in the first one.
In that story, I'm like, where are we going, guys? But you're right. Yeah, maybe it was all just like a ruse, or maybe that's just the form he took at that time.
Right.
And then now he's this thing, or like then he became the spider thing at the end. So
that was so weird to me.
That last like is almost like it was just like a trip. Like we were just tripping in the theater. I'm like, what is happening?
I'm like, it's only 9:00 and I feel like I'm tripping out. I'm like, I don't know if like, I mean, I'm not tired. I haven't been out drinking. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, what is happening right now?
It was too much. It was too much, man. They're like at the center of the world. They're like the Earth's core. Like, how deep can you get? Like, they go into the house.
Yep.
You go down this super deep well.
Yeah.
So you're already down a well, and however many stories down.
Right.
Then you're in that like murky water. You go down another well.
Right.
In there.
Even deeper.
You're walking through there. You go even deeper to this big like chamber wherever the thing is. So I'm like, you all are.
But I think it's more like symbolic, I guess. Like it's almost like, okay, so like how at the end how they're saying like, okay, well, you have to make him feel as small as he actually is in order to kill him or whatever. They take him, whatever that saying was that he said about the whole like tribe, to basically get rid of him.
Right.
Like, I think it's just symbolic, like getting deep to the core to somebody or to anything.
Wow, that's pretty deep, Brittany.
I think deep when I okay, and I'm drinking wine, so I think
that's
that
probably
helps.
yeah.
But really though, that's what I was thinking, and I wasn't even drinking wine then. And I I feel like in some way though, it's like a deep, like it's getting down to the core and like the root of everything. Wow. You know what I mean?
Philosophical.
Yeah.
Brittany on the show.
But I mean, correct me if you feel like I'm wrong. I'm just
I
kind of
think
like,
you're
to
right.
me,
I'm just messing with you. I actually think that might be that's a good point.
Because they say that it takes a body of whatever it actually is, or so by making them be like, you're a clown, you're not anything powerful.
Well, they say all living things are.
I feel like we should look up.
It was
this,
something like all living things are like basically constrained to the form that they take. That's basically what the saying was. Yeah. I'm paraphrasing, but so I can't come up with a better explanation. So we're gonna take that and run with it.
So they got to just the surface of it, okay, by getting to the layer of where getting to the layer of where he's like from or whatever.
Right.
But then they went even deeper into it.
Yeah.
Really being able to like, okay, well, you know what? You're not really as powerful as you think you are.
Right.
Let me just kill you.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten you to your actual core.
Yeah, that you know what? I'm gonna go with that. I think maybe you're giving the writers too much credit, but I mean, if not, then maybe you should have wrote the film.
Maybe.
But I like that explanation. It sounds good.
It sounds good.
It sounds good. Hey, I'm gonna go with it. Like
Yeah.
if people ask me, I'm gonna be like, yeah, actually, they just were getting to the core.
Yeah.
It started out on the surface. I'm gonna take credit and say that I said it first. So
I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too far into it.
I don't know,
tend
but
to do
I
that,
like
but
it.
It sounds like
I'll
it
go
could
with
be
it.
right.
I'll go with it.
I guess I always look for that subliminal messaging.
You and
in
Mike would,
movies.
you and Mike would have been good friends
Hell
because
yeah.
Mike was super deep in the movie.
Mhm.
Mike needed to go on a date. I think that was his issue. I think that he just needed to go get out the house or get out the library. In his case,
Oh.
Mike needed to go on a date or something. Man, he
Yeah.
needed to make some friends.
He was
also,
just very stuck in
he was
his old
stuck,
ways,
man.
and
Yeah.
like literally, he was stuck there in his
Yeah.
old ways. So he like never really.
No, I mean, imagine the psychological like damage you take if you just kept because they all forgot.
Right.
So they got to go lead normal lives because they
Right.
forgot about this thing.
Right.
This experience they went through. He didn't, so he had to just like obsess over it, and he knew
Right.
like it was coming in 27 years.
Right.
So yeah, so I imagine that probably messed you up. Also, when they went down there and the ritual didn't work, imagine getting that far, and then it doesn't work. If I'm I'm killing Mike.
Yeah.
Mike, you have to die now because now you've put me in a position. Because then he's like, "Oh, Mike."
Because now they're in this like.
It's a wrap. Like it's
Yeah.
over now. Because like Mike's like, "Oh shoot, I just thought like it didn't work, but I thought maybe if we." And now I'm killing you. Like I have
Yeah.
to take you out.
Like you've now just irritated me because
Yeah.
I didn't even want to be here. After
No.
figuring out why I'm here.
You reminded me.
Yeah.
I was living a great life. I
Yeah.
was good.
Yep.
Like, and then you just brought me back here for no reason.
Well,
and now
except for Beverly wasn't living a good
Beverly
life.
wasn't good.
She
Yeah, Beverly had
needed
to
that
get out.
almost. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I think in some way they tie that in. Like, you know what? In some way they all needed this to happen.
Yeah.
So it can really make them like open their eyes to like, okay, life was good, but it could be even better
Right.
knowing your past.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. And Stanley obviously did not come out on top.
Oh man.
Stanley just had to. He offed himself before, which sucked.
Yeah. But you know, they really did tie him in well because I love that they did they did those flashbacks where
Yeah.
they like showed them as kids and like things that they had said in the past that really probably affected them as adults, but didn't really quite remember like why it
it was
affected
affecting
them.
them. Yeah, that's
But
true.
it did, you know.
Yeah.
So I think they did a good job of that.
Yeah. So I wish we would have heard like more about Stanley.
Yeah.
Like we just knew. I do like that they tied in like the suicide note at the end
Yeah.
and stuff like that to give us a little bit more explanation as to like what he remembered and all
Right.
that stuff because he kind of remembered everything instantly.
Yeah.
Which otherwise, I mean, obviously that's why I didn't go. If
Right.
they would have all remembered too, they wouldn't have went back to the town either.
Right.
Like I said, Ben definitely had the biggest glow up. When he was reciting poetry, though, that was super cringeworthy. That was
gosh,
rough.
and there's nothing worse
That
in a
was
scary movie than when they do a romantic scene or something, and I'm like, just please don't do it. Please stop. Like,
and
just,
they kissed under the water.
oh
That
my
was
god,
rough.
I just like, oh,
That was a
I
rough
just
scene.
can't do it. Like, I'm seeing these movies because I want to see like
Yeah.
intense stuff. I want to
Yeah.
be like, and then I mean, I know that every movie's gonna have to have that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, like, The Conjuring.
Okay.
Perfect example. They didn't have any, like, aspect of, like...
Well,
they have-
in 2, they had at the end where
yeah.
they had a heartfelt moment where, you know, the girl was like, you know what, like, you guys really did help. Like, basically, like, he's like, you know, but it was very, like, appropriate,
Got it.
if you will.
Okay.
This was just kind of like, really?
Yeah, it didn't fit. It didn't fit.
Right.
It was really corny.
Let it happen at the end or something. And I like how they did it at the end, where
Yeah.
they showed like them actually together and happy, and
Right.
like she's in a healthy relationship. Like, I'm good with that,
Right.
but not when it's like dead in the center of like all the heated whatever
Yeah.
is going on. You
It
know
just
what I
didn't
mean?
fit the moment at all. Eddie, I think the funniest moment of the movie
Oh gosh, let
for
me hear
me
it.
was Eddie. When he left his mom in the basement, when he like his fear when he had the flashback
Yeah,
of being
yeah.
a kid, and he went there to save his mom.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! When he
He
left
was
his
like,
mom,
"Mom."
he's like, "I'm sorry, mom," and then ran away. I mean, I was losing it. Like Eddie,
Yeah.
any scene with Eddie was hilarious because this is stuff that's coming out of his mouth is just hilarious.
Oh man, and he's by far my favorite character because I almost relate somewhat.
Yeah.
Just because I'm such a germaphobe with things and like,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean. So like, I relate to him in a way.
Yeah.
You know, so I appreciated that character so much, and
So
when
funny.
he didn't like live through the end, I was very like.
That sucked. That does suck. Like I said,
That cut me deep a little bit. I was actually kind of upset because I'm like, of all the characters,
I just didn't want
died.
him to die. Like it's like they took like the two most innocent characters because they took Stanley and they took him. So it's like.
But then it almost was it was gratifying because it's like, you know what? Like sometimes you do just need to like toughen up. Yeah. You know.
He did go out a hero. Yeah. So that was good. He had a hero's death.
He earned it in some aspect. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So at least he got to go out on top.
Right.
So that was cool. The bully, like I said, he was so hyped to get out of that insane asylum, by the way. But he was hyped, man.
He was such a random character, in my opinion.
He was random, and like, how did he get out of there? Like, he got out with just a knife. Like, you got out of an insane asylum with one sharp object. Like, literally, they're trained to deal with people who get a hold of sharp objects. Like,
those are not necessarily around anymore either. Insane asylums. They're not something that's very like common to have.
No, I mean not like in that fashion.
Right.
Like now they have like obviously like mental health like hospitals or like rehabilitation centers. Like,
where
they're
it's
not
more
just,
of like it's actually rehabilitation than it is like keeping people as prisoners. So to me, it's very like. You could have done a little bit better in that aspect.
Yeah,
like
Derry, Maine is a crazy place. They're really regressive in Derry, Maine, apparently. So.
Yeah. They could have done a little bit better in that aspect with that character.
Right.
Because he could have probably done something really like... probably could have even changed it for him to be somewhat heroic or maybe even join the losers, you know what I mean? So they could have done a little bit more with that, I feel.
Yeah, they got kind of lazy. It was just like, hey, we're going to give this guy a knife. He's just going to like wreak havoc randomly.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then
like, I can appreciate it. You know, not only are we having the aspect of like something that's maybe not realistic, but something that's actually realistic happening. And they have to almost battle this. Like, what's more important at this point? Do we deal with this or do we deal with that? Or, you know, and like at the beginning where he stabbed him and he took it out and he, you know, actually ended up like stabbing him. Yeah. Like that was something that really helped that guy along.
Yeah.
But
helped develop Eddie's story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how he got that far with just a knife. Like, I'm like, I mean, the cop's standing there and he's like staring at him like, well, I'm about to get you. He has a knife. Like, do you have a gun? Like, what? Yeah. Like, whatever. I wouldn't have gone to kill Pennywise during the night. I would have gone during the day. I don't think it would have made a difference, but I mean that house is already creepy and they went there at night to kill him and I was like, man, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, I don't even want to watch this movie at night, let alone go kill him at night. But maybe that's just me being scared. I did see a fire. So the scene where the girl got like obviously got killed under the bleachers. Yeah. And it was because she like was following the firefly. Yeah. There was this fly in the theater. Oh, and God. It looked, because of the light, it looked like it was a firefly. And I was, a little part of me was freaking out. I was like, am I the only one seeing this? Like I was freaking out a little bit. If I saw a firefly in my apartment, I would have slept in my car. Right. 100%. But I would have been so scared. But I didn't. So I'm here to tell the tale. Yeah. Did you ever watch How to Get
everyone?
Yeah, I live. I'm here. I'm on the podcast. Everything's good. Did you ever watch How to Get Away with Murder? Mm-mm. No, that show was one of my. It might still come on. Yeah. But same writer as Grey's Anatomy and Scandal.
Ooh, I love Grey's Anatomy, so I feel like I should probably watch it. I probably like it.
Yeah, so I stopped watching it because one of my favorite characters died. So then I was like boycotted it.
You're never supposed to do that.
Yeah, so whenever
because sometimes it gets better.
I don't care. It's like I got so mad. It's like one of the like. It
cut you.
It hurt me. Yeah, I was grieving for like a week. Like I was hurt. But anyway, so I stopped watching it and I just never picked it back up. But similar to that in this movie, like they rack up a large body count. Like there's a lot of people who just like die, and I'm like, oh, how did they get away with that? Yeah. Oh, you don't have to do that.
No, I feel bad. It was like getting closer to you. I felt like I should wipe it up a little bit. I'm like, gosh, I just like
referring to the
spilled wine.
To the wine. Yeah,
it's been creeping like closer to Todd, so I'm like, oh gosh, let me just.
I've been keeping my eye on it.
I know. I'm watching it too. It's distracting.
But yeah, they rack up a huge body count here. Like for instance, Beverly's dad. Right. Like she kills her dad, and then what? Like, do we ever get a follow up on like what happened with that? Obviously they kill a sane asylum guy. Is his dead body just chilling in the library? Yeah. Like, it's just like, how are you guys getting away with just killing people? And
but I guess if you think about it, if they did refer back to those, it would distract you from what you're actually supposed to be focusing on. Yeah. So I can see why they kept it super casual, like oh, it happened, because it's, if you really did focus on that, you'd be like, well, am I supposed to be focusing on this or that, you know? I would personally, I would have been distracted with that. Then I would have been
maybe you need to go into directing, Brittany. You might need to become a director or something. I don't know. A writer, maybe producer,
maybe I just watch them. No, maybe I just sit on Todd's podcast.
Maybe just get at podcasting. But yeah, that also.
I'm inserting myself into his podcast, by the way.
Yeah. Brittany's told me that she's coming up multiple times. I don't know. There's still TBD. It's still very early in the contract negotiations, but we'll see.
No, I love it though.
But overall, what'd you think?
Overall, if being like such a person who loves scary movies, I was into it.
Okay. I definitely thought it was more entertaining than the first one. Similar to the first one, though, I thought that it was a bit dragged out. Like, I don't think it needed to be 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Thank you, because I agree.
That was a little lengthy. They could have condensed the story, in my opinion. It kind of reminded me of the Goonies a bit. Did you ever watch the Goonies?
No.
It's a classic.
I
actually, I'm not a huge fan of the movie, but it is quote unquote classic. But it had that feel, a group of friends getting into like mischief and like kind of like when they were going underground, like kind of in the sewer, kind of reminded me when they went into like a cave in the Goonies. But it had that feel. Stranger Things definitely drew a lot of inspiration from this movie. As I saw, obviously Stranger Things came out before the 2017 It remake, but obviously it is a remake. So had that like old time feel, battling monsters, group of friends, 70s type of deal. This movie got sillier and sillier. Yeah. So that was the thing. That's my biggest critique there. Is like, again, by the time we got to the end, it turned into like this giant like spider thing. Yeah. It just kind of got to the point where we're like, all right, we've already taken something that's unrealistic, and now we're just making it like when the
you're
alien,
overdoing it.
You're overdoing it. So that it did get sillier there. The writing was better in this one, though. I do think. Again, the development of the characters was a lot better in this one.
Totally. I agree with you.
I don't think they should make a third.
No.
I think this was it. It should be it.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. But this should be the final one. Right. The humor between Bill Hader and Eddie's character, I thought, made it a lot more watchable for me. Yeah. So in times where it was like, man, we're only an hour into this thing. Like, man, we got another 2.5 hours. Their comedy made it more entertaining. Yeah,
because you almost looked for that banter a little bit back and forth between them. Like, you're like, okay, like I want to keep seeing I want to see what happens with them. Yeah. Yeah,
every time they talk, like I was like, it's about to be funny. Yeah. So you kind of got excited for that. And then I thought it was just odd how they made it. Again, I spoke a little bit about it at the beginning, but how it became a PSA at the end, right? So it's like, we're losers and we're proud, or be proud of who you are. And it's just like, again, I think that it needs to just be applicable to the story, right? And you don't want to force it, right? So you don't want to force it just so that you're making a comment on the current like climate, right? Social climate. So be intentional about it. Be more intentional and be more like write it in creatively. Mm-hmm. Like they were intentional about some of the development of the story character. So do that, right? And then like I think like the best analogy I can give is like, let's say I want to start a nonprofit, right? Right. But I had no business model and I didn't plan it out. Like, you don't, like, how am I expected to get donors if I'm just like, well, I'm doing something good for the community, you should give me money? Like, no. Like, I still need to do, like, my due diligence and, like, create a great business plan. Yeah. So same thing with this, like, don't just make it, like, movies almost feel like, hey, we're making a comment about it, so, like, we should get an award for it. And it's like, no, like, you still need to write it creatively. Right. And, like, implement it the right way. Don't just say, like, hey, we're doing something good, so, like, that's it, and just leave it there. Like, last 30 seconds of a movie, we're throwing in something about inclusion, and that's it. Yeah. So, just being more intentional about that. Yeah. What would you give this on a scale of 1 to 10?
10 being the greatest, I'm guessing?
Yes.
I would probably give it like a 6 or a 7. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't give it a full, 8 or 9. It wasn't like on my top list, like I said. Right. With like even the first one. Right. But I think they did a great job with this one versus the last one. Yeah. Like I think they did a pretty good job.
I think in comparison, it definitely was a lot better. Mm-hmm. Love the humor. I'm giving it a 4.9. Oh wow. I'm a harsh rater though. Yeah. I will say that. I didn't hate the movie. But it definitely wasn't one of my favorites. I probably won't rewatch it. Right. But again, I think a lot of it, what saved it for me was Bill Hader. And like he saved it. Like he was really funny. Like there's a lot of parts where like
But what's so bad is that it's not supposed to be a funny movie. Right? So that's what I struggled with in it, is that they're almost inserting too much comedy where it's like I wanna feel the terror. I don't need those comic or whatever they say, comedic relief or whatever. I don't need that. I need to feel scared. I need to feel.
You're right. Yeah. It was more of a comedy, And not in a like, oh, it's just so bad it was funny. It was like more of just like, no, they inserted a lot of like intentional comedy.
Yeah.
Like you put Bill Hader in there, like it's going to be it. Like they made him a really funny character. Yeah. So it was more funny moments than there were jumping out of your skin moments.
And you know what? Even just to prove a point, when we walked in today and there was somebody in here,
yeah,
and she was like, you said it and you said scary movie, and I was just completely like off with like the whole idea of doing like a review because that scares her. Yeah. What they're doing is turning this movie that scared people to the core, because even my dad won't watch scary movies because of something like It or Poltergeist or something like, it was so like intense at that. Yeah. And they're changing it into something to fit society now, when honestly, I'm like, I would rather just keep it classic.
Yeah.
Keep it scary, keep it interesting, and like, I want to be scared when I go to these movies. I don't need to have that comic relief. I don't need to have that romance in the end or anything like that. I don't need that. Yeah,
they are trying to make it, movies, businesses, a lot of things are just trying to make things so PC. Soft. And they're just trying to make things really palatable for all audiences, which I just like, stick to what you do.
Right.
Stick to what you do. Some people won't like it. Get over it. Like, right? Like, just stick to what you do.
Yeah.
But,
you're gonna attract those people who do like it, like me, whereas like when I see these scary things, I don't, if they showed an It scene or a trailer with like the comedy relief, whatever, I would not. I mean, maybe I would see it, but I would be like, that's not what I'm going to see the movie for.
That would be kind of a weird message to send if they would have had like a lot of clips of like the one-liners and jokes in the
if you showed a trailer with that versus a trailer with the scary stuff that they actually show, you know, I mean, it's just me, maybe. I don't know.
No, I agree. Well, for someone like me, I'd be more apt to go see it just because I don't like scary movies. But for the actual people who enjoy horror and who follow the actual storyline of like, or who like the original It or like the It that came out 2 years ago, you would be discouraged to go see it.
Yeah.
What would you say? How would you say someone should view this? Do you think that they should go opening night, $5 Tuesday, watch on Netflix, or don't watch at all?
I would say it's worth maybe not seeing when it just comes out, or what did you say it was, $5 Tuesday?
Yeah.
I would say that's probably fair.
Yeah. I obviously for my rating would say don't watch. Like you don't lose. If you do watch it, okay. But if you don't watch it, you're not missing anything.
Right.
2 hours and 50 minutes, super big commitment.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Oh yeah. We brought a lot of snacks to the movies.
I
meant we bought them.
You bought? Yeah. I mean, we bought them. That's awesome. That was
We were prepared.
I didn't bring enough. I brought I didn't bring enough. I was trying to be healthy. I brought a ton of grapes, a ton of grapes. I was out.
Who does that?
I know.
Who brings grapes to the movie?
I have a really bad sweet tooth, so usually it's like a ton of candy.
Oh my gosh!
And I was trying to be healthy. I was like, you know what? I have a ton of grapes.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with that. If you're gonna go to a movie, get the candy. You don't do healthy snacks during a movie. You just don't. You can attempt.
Okay.
But you don't actually
popcorn. Usually I do popcorn, but then I got like a piece stuck in my tooth, and it was like super annoying, and it bothered me the whole movie. So I was like, I'm kind of off popcorn for a little bit.
Okay.
So we'll see.
That's fair.
I might make a return to popcorn, but for now I'm boycotting.
Oh man.
Upcoming movies you're excited for?
Oh man. So
or movie.
I know. There hasn't been any that have caught my eye because it is coming into like the months of like scary movies and things like that. So I'm honestly looking forward to any type of scary movies that's going to be coming out because I need that for my soul.
Yeah.
I swear it's not
scary
black.
Movies are good for the soul. That's what they say.
I did see that they were coming out with some movies that are going to be more of like a science type twist with like Thomas Edison and things like that. So I mean, maybe I'll be into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Last Christmas. Looks like a cheesy rom-com Christmas movie, like all of them. But I love that. I love rom-coms and I love Christmas. So
do you see that Hustlers is coming out? That's like supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna review that in a little bit.
Oh
I think
man.
a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that one. Not gonna lie, because I like anything that's gonna be like women almost being badass. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's definitely what it is. So
I'm into it.
I'm probably gonna review that. I haven't decided. I think I'm gonna review it.
It's out there, everyone.
Yeah, so it's out there. Now I gotta do it. But yeah, Last Christmas I'm looking forward to. It has Emilia Clarke, also known as Khaleesi, from Game of Thrones. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
I haven't. I tried. I'm sorry. I know I'm like the worst person.
It's fine. No,
everyone loves Game of Thrones. I
love
into it.
Yeah, some people just aren't into it. It's definitely a particular type of show. So and Henry Golding from who was in Crazy Rich Asians. So they're both in it. But yeah, I'm pumped up for that. The description is: Kate is a young woman subscribed to bad decisions. Her last date with disaster, that of having accepted to work as Santa's elf for a department store. However, she meets Tom there. Here, life takes a new turn for Kate. It seems too good to be true. They wrote that. So actually, I know how to read that description. This was written really weird. But yeah, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Do you have anything else, Brittany, for the listeners?
No, I mean, drink some wine and have a good night.
There you go. Don't spill it.
Don't spill it. I spilled it.
Thank you all for listening. Until next week. Peace out.